Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 225 of the Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. How are you, Tim?
Doing well.
Feeling good, Lewis. No, little Trading Places humor there. This is our second episode we're recording tonight, but this will take place before the other one, so in a weird time warp, we'll be more tired for the earlier episode that will be released.
So we're punchy right now.
Yeah, a little loopy and punchy, but...
we have a great movie for this episode, unlike last episode.
Yeah.
But we will be getting to that soon after our first chop. All right, Brian. Well, I did not have anything for our first chop, unfortunately, because I was too busy watching my TUBI TRAP movie, which I finished today. But we will get to that in a second after you talk about the long-awaited, the long-anticipated... the golden entry on your Amityville Project list.
Well, to date.
To date, the legendary Amityville vibrator.
Yeah. So this one was like, I figured like, it was funny is at one point this was totally earmarked for that very distinction, like the one to see on this whole thing because how good. But now there's literally 30 movies after this that are developed, including Amityville Karen, which that's the next one that is funny because our friend Emily, she wants to always hear about these things that we see, and so this one she was dying to hear about, but also now she was like, I got to hear about Amityville Karen. When is when's that one on there? But there's still I think a few, at least 10 I think before I get up to that one. But yeah, so Amityville Vibrator. So this one is interesting, and this one's really probably going to earn our explicit rating here because I don't know how to describe this movie without it may not be curse words per se, but just the content will definitely be very adult oriented, so any children listening to it, you may want to cover their ears, give them the little earmuffs, so to speak. So anyway, so Amityville Vibrator, I think what's interesting now, so here's the thing, this movie is essentially could be classified as like one of those like parody pornos, okay? And granted, I'm not a prude by any means here, but I think I was so shocked at the graphic nature of this movie because it was on IMDb. It's like a regular movie, And so I'm like thinking it's like, okay, it'll be like a softcore kind of thing, a lot of like nudity. Okay, that was a given. A lot of simulated stuff going on. This movie literally opens with like full on like vibrator penetration. Okay, like
jeez.
I mean, and when I say like full on, like there is nothing to the imagination. Okay, there are no prosthetics here. This is real like stuff going on, and and like the plot obviously is very typical of the Amityville franchise when there's an object involved. This one happens to be a vibrator. But what's funny about this as overall is that literally this movie connects to the Amityville lexicon, so to speak, better than like 90% of the other ones because they actually have a character, Ronnie DeFeo, in it. Yeah, so this one is like, I really have not quite seen like so much close-up genitalia before. Like, I mean, this is like literally this guy like had one goal to this movie, and like what you're getting. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, from that opening scene, but then the opening credits are literally he like hand draws the crayon, like in crayon, the credits in the beginning with like pictures and like the verbal credits. But yeah, like literally this stuff is so close up in some of these scenes. Like if I had was trained as a gynecologist, I could do full exams. Like literally, that's I kid you not. That's how close it is. I mean, and it's. Like, right when you think this movie is going to get as crazy it is, all of a sudden they introduce the, like, one of those Charlie McCarthy kind of, like, like, a.k.a. Magic, for the movie Magic, one of those, like ventriloquist dummies in there that comes in. And, of course, he is equipped with a large penis apparatus himself.
Oh, my God.
But then... So he starts going around, and the main character actually has sex with this ventriloquist dummy. But then all of a sudden, the vibrator itself starts to talk. So it's like speaking in a voice that it's like a female voice that is haunted. So basically, yeah, this thing just gets wild. And the whole time, inexplicably, there's this like, I thought was a film crew, but it turns out it's like investigators that are like trying to figure out the mystery of this and what happened to the vibrator and the murders behind it. And I mean, there's one like long drawn out scene where they take some kind of drug and they're just hanging out in the thing. I swear to God, this guy looked like he just wanted to have fun making a movie, because the guy that made it is like also stars in it. But yeah, this is just, and I will say all practical effects in terms of the gore in it, like literally I mean, I highly doubt many people that are listening to this podcast will actually go and see this movie, so I don't feel bad about spoiling parts. But there's literally one scene where someone gets stabbed through the back of the head with said titled vibrator, and literally the practical effects are pretty well done, where like teeth come flying out. So I mean, the gore in it is like really like good. Like I give it to this guy. No cheap like CGI or anything. It's literally all practical effects, and yeah, this is one for the ages, I will tell you. And what's crazy is, okay, there were still movies that I rank in this Amityville thing that I rank lower than this one. That's as crazy as this one is. Oh my God! It's like there's still like Mount Misery Road still below this one, in my opinion. It's that one's that bad. And I still I think this may even beat Vanishing Point, because I know this is going to sound odd, but I actually respect this film because the filmmaker like just didn't give a crap. And he said, he even right in the end, it took him 2.5 years to make this. It was his dream come true. So how do you bash a guy that like literally went out there and like gave it his all for this, whatever this was? I mean, but you know,
yeah, like, you have to appreciate filmmakers that have a passion for something, even if it's maybe not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
But if they really go 100% for it, I mean, you have to appreciate that on some level.
And this guy did. Yeah. You could tell. It's like, I mean, there was like he had a vision. Just because his vision was a killer vibrator, I mean, hey, that's his journey. And you know what? I was part of it, I guess, by having to watch this.
No, you're part of it.
I'm part of his journey. But yeah, no. You know what? It is what it is. You can't go and expect. I didn't expect much different. Like I said, not that I'm a prude or any means. I just was shocked at how graphic it was, considering it was listed on IMDb. You know, you don't see. As far as I know, right? They don't have like pornos listed on IMDb.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't look them up, so I do not know.
Right.
Literally do not know.
Looking up there on there, yeah. I assume, but I just assume they're not on there. Let's say that's an assumption. I could be wrong. If someone else searches these things on IMDb, I guess let me know. But nevertheless, so that was Amityville Vibrator, and I think it's like some of the sequences in it, I think are like, listen, if you want to spend the $5 to get Troma for a month, there's a lot of great stuff on there on Troma's site. So, and you get that as a bonus. But yeah, so yeah, that's my review on that one. That was the only one I watched this week. I think that was enough for my mind to take. I don't think I could have taken another Amityville.
Yeah, you don't want to pair that with something else.
Well, what could pair with it?
It needs to stand on its own.
Yeah, but so that's that one for you. So Amityville Vibrator. I made it through. I survived it, and I don't know how I'll come out of it there. I don't know if I'll ever be the same. But yeah, that was it.
All right. Well, that brings us to some more questionable movies here with our TUBI TRAP segment. So I guess I'll go first, Brian. Since you just talked about Amityville Vibrator, we'll kind of split it up a little bit. Yeah, I think I could sense you needed a break from that one. But so Brian's movie for me for our TUBI TRAP was Little Dead Rotting Hood.
I love going for the puns for Tim. So,
jeez. So I will have to say, this movie wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting. I will have to say that. So I'll tell you the good side. It's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. So what happens is there's a young woman who is the movie starts off with this old woman living in the woods, and she ends up her granddaughter is I think her granddaughter is killed, and she does some kind of like ritual over her, and then she like kills herself or something. It's very confusing when it first started. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. The granddaughter is played by a Cuban actress, so there's a decently diversified cast in here, which was good to see. And basically, gist of the movie is it starts out when it started out. I actually thought the movie was really pretty darn good. It's about this small town sheriff, of course, the small town deputy, and there's a bunch of college kids that live there, and they start getting these random wolf attacks. And these wolf attacks are like they used actual wolves in the movie, so I thought that was really interesting. It's like, oh man, they're using like actual wolves, like, and there were some really good like attack scenes with the wolves and stuff. There's some gratuitous nudity in there, here and there, but overall, I thought the opening third of the movie was really well done. Where the sheriff is trying to track down what these wolves are doing. The deputy she's kind of like a wolf expert, kind of on the side.
Of course, there's got to be a wolf expert in this.
Yeah, so she knows all their hunting patterns and stuff. So they decide they're going to try to track these wolves down and kill them. You've got this, frankly, quite unbelievable hillbilly that looks like he literally just stepped off the set of Hee Haw. I mean, this guy is like there's literally, there can't be anybody that's like this in real life. I just refuse to believe it. But he's like the crazy hillbilly of the town. He's gung-ho to go kill the wolves. So they get this mob out there to go track these wolves down to kill them. The sheriff runs into this mysterious woman who is kind of basically telling him, back off, don't kill the wolves. They haven't done anything to you. And she says her name is Becky Sanders, which sounds like a made-up name. And he kind of, dismisses her, and she kind of vanishes off into the night. Well, as they're trying to kill these wolves, they end up killing one of them, and then the whole wolf pack attacks everybody. They're only saved by this mysterious figure in red that comes out of the woods, and we realize it's the granddaughter from the start of the movie, and she drives all the wolves off, and she's got claws and like weird eyes and stuff, so they don't know. So the sheriff now convinced something supernatural is going on. So long story short, anyway, you come to find out that the wolves in question are actually werewolves, and this is where I thought the whole movie was pretty cool, because it's kind of leading you to believe this is a werewolf movie. And the fact that they're using real wolves, I thought was neat, and they weren't depending on CGI and stuff. And then, unfortunately, they bring out the lead werewolf, the lead shapeshifter, and it is the worst CGI werewolf I believe I've ever seen. It literally looked like something out of a PlayStation game. And I'm not talking like a PlayStation 5 game. I'm talking like a PlayStation 2
Was it as bad as like that Fast and the Furious? Like,
it's
ride?
Worse.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's worse. It's worse. It's bad. It literally looks like a PlayStation 2 era video game model. And so they have to fight this thing off. And I mean, I could give you a spoiler on who that actually is, but I think you've probably guessed by now. It's going to be the wolf expert. But anyway, so they have to fight this boss werewolf. The long and short of it, and I don't mind spoiling this movie for you because it's not worth watching, but is that the granddaughter was basically the granddaughter of this woman who was the keeper of the forest, if you will. She like maintained peace in the woods. And the Becky Sanders is a shape-shifting werewolf lady that is trying to take over. And so she wants to kill the it's like a balance of nature there, the keeper of the forest versus the werewolf queen kind of type thing going on. That's what this whole movie's about. Now, I will say the writer is a comic book writer, so this did have kind of a feel of like this Red Riding Hood could be kind of a cool superhero type thing, where she's like she's battling the werewolves. I can see where it could be a cool like comic book movie, but the movie itself was just totally ruined by that CGI werewolf at the end. Some good things: the lead actor who played the sheriff, he's really good. He was in 6 Feet Under, that old show. Let's look up his name real quick. He was pretty good. The cast, by and large, is pretty decent.
Well, Bianca Santos is in it, and that's actually she's an actress I really like. She was in that show Happy Land. I don't know if you remember that on MTV. It was about like a kind of a Disney esque.
She plays the riding. Yeah, she plays the Riding Hood. You got Patrick Muldoon, which you've seen in a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
he's been all
Starship
over.
Troopers.
Yeah, Starship Troopers. Eric Balfour is plays the sheriff.
Oh yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, and I really like him. So yeah, so I mean, have a decent cast, and like I said, the first third of the movie, I was into it. I was really liking it. I thought it was like a cool werewolf movie. It kind of had a feel of like that Wolves of Snow Hollow.
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Well, it really had that kind of feel to it, like
one.
a small town fighting a werewolf attack. And then they just kind of ruined it with this terrible CGI werewolf thing, and it just kind of fell apart at the end. So I can't recommend it, but it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it probably overall way more than No Malone.
Oh yeah, No Malone. You got the bad break on.
I will say this has an unfortunate title. I believe the original title for this movie was Red Dead, which is probably a better title.
But I would have never picked it if it was just Red Dead. So
I know
you won by it changing the title, or lost.
The Little Dead Riding Hood is just kind of so cheesy, and the other thing too is it doesn't really make any sense because she's technically undead, but it's not like she's like a rotting zombie type thing. I mean, she's like a superhero.
Does she have a hood though?
Comeback. She does have a hood. Yeah, she does have like a wear red, but it's just I don't know.
So like Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate name, I think, because it just comes off. When you see that like you did, you pick it and go, "This is to be the worst movie ever." I'll just give this one to Tim. And it's really not that bad a movie, and it could have been a way better movie if they hadn't used all the CGI at the end, but well. It's just weird that why would you go through all the trouble of using real, actual wolves in a cool, very cool fashion? Like, they're really well done how they filmed all these wolf attack sequences, and then you ruin it with this terrible CGI werewolf at the end. It's just so frustrating. Like, if they had used a costumed werewolf, creative editing and that kind of thing. Yeah, like they've done in tons of movies that we consider good werewolf movies. This movie would have scored like a good 2 to 3 points higher for me.
Well, that's like the ones we saw with the ones the two we saw, like the Monstrous and the other one with the other one that the same director did with the Sasquatch and the Wendigo. Like that one, like those used it right. Like it was obviously not like they spared it and they used it in the proper way, so you couldn't tell any kind of shortcomings that may have been there in the execution of the creature. So
yeah, there's just so many ways they could have done that better, and I'm just disappointed that they just they fell back on that gimmick when the rest of the movie was pretty decent, so oh well.
Well, speaking of cheap CGI, let's go on to my wonderful movie there called Two Lava, Two Lantula, which might as well just be like a weird excerpt in the biography of Steve Guttenberg. But yeah, so this is like, I mean, okay, basically, bottom line, this is like, in the Sharknado family, one of those sci-fi movies where they grab a whole bunch of has-beens, throw them into a movie with crazy creatures. And this one, okay, so I will say, I don't think I needed to see the first Lava Lantula to, for lack of a better word, appreciate this one.
Well, I must interject here. Yeah. I actually picked this also based on the fact that you had not seen the first one.
I've had a feeling you might have. Yeah.
I wanted to give you, I wanted to thrust you right into the Lava Lantula series with no clue of how what's happened before or what's going on. I wanted you, that was part of the charm, was to thrust you into the middle of a franchise that you have no clue about.
Well, lucky for me then, because this literally took it right out of the how to make a sci-fi sequel about monsters playbook. So you pretty much, there's like maybe 3 lines in the movie that pretty much sum up all you need to know. So the funny thing is, as I will say, this starts off pretty brilliantly with Steve Guttenberg and Michael Winslow in full police regalia running out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so right out, they're running out of a thing and this whole thing, and Michael Winslow gets shot and killed, and I'm like, oh my god, they killed him off already? I was kind of bummed. I kind of wanted to, I love Michael Winslow. I want to see more of him. But then it turns out that he's just on the movie set, and they're playing a cops, and here comes the obligatory Police Academy joke in this, where the director says, "Wait a minute, why were you?" Because he's screaming like, "Oh my god, my," like whatever the character's name was, like screaming like in agony. And he's like, "Wait a minute," the director is like this nebbishy guy. He's like, it's supposed to be a comedy. What are you doing?" And he goes, and so Steve Guttenberg tries to play it off that like cops should be more dramatic and not comedic.
Oh my
and
gosh!
So there you go. So yeah, and there's this whole thing, but then, so I guess it finds out he's I mean, I assume this was he was in the first one. He's an actor, and so I guess his stepdaughter is off in Florida, going to school, but she's like kind of like, I guess he sees on the credit card she's been partying, but it's their day off, so it's kind of like this little silly exposition. You kind of see like, oh, like, you're my stepdad, kind of thing going on, and so. Next thing you know, like, I guess all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're sitting there on the beach, and all of a sudden, like, you start seeing these flames come by, and then all of a sudden people start screaming, "Oh my god, it's a lavalantula!" As if that's such a common phrase. But I guess after the first one took place, it was known to the world what a lavalantula was. In my head, I'm thinking lavalantula was literally like this one giant lava-made spider. Should have known better, though, because Sharknado wasn't like one giant shark tornado. But, how dare me for thinking that might be a little different, right? So they basically start, attacking Florida, and there's these little, there's this, like different size lava spiders that go out there. And Steve Guttenberg, I guess, finds out about it, and so he's got to go rescue his daughter, and apparently he was the one that saved everybody the last time from these lavalantulas, which was definitely, I already kind of suspected that without having to see the first one, just by him being in it again. So he goes traveling to Florida, and, of course his daughter and her one friend are trying to escape. And, I guess because she's his daughter, she has some kind of lavalantula fighting skills naturally embedded into her DNA. I don't know, even though they're not blood. Go figure. I don't know. But anyway, so she's kind of like holding her own with her friend. Her friend gets a little bitten. Then but she's looks like just a burn mark, because I guess lavalantulas don't necessarily add bites; they add burns. Completely plausible. Yeah, they're lavalantulas, right?
Well, of course, they're lavalantulas.
Anyway, so they go on, and meanwhile, Steve Guttenberg's trying his best to get over to Florida to help save the day. Pretty much standard fare you're getting. Then I guess. Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow's character, they team up with this, I guess his assistant, this kind of funny kid, who actually has kind of got some great lines in the movie. And so they're going in, and they come out, they ended up, I don't know if I just lost concentration for a second, which is pretty understandable for this. But I guess they somehow end up getting a lead to go to this alligator, like this alligator skinner guy who, you find out and it's revealed that his name is Alligator Dundee. So it's like,
oh my god,
I know, right? And it literally is drawn out into like a 3-minute scene to reveal that joke. But yeah, so they get him, and he promptly gets killed anyway. So it's like, there's really like, this is a waste of 3 minutes of a film. But anyway, so they go in there, and like Steve Guttenberg apparently had this gun made up from his last lavalantula encounter that like kind of freezes them. It shoots out like some kind of a freeze device that, because obviously ice will stop fire in these movies. And so he gets, so he's fighting with that. Him and his daughter and her friend somehow come across these, like, I guess they're looking for the car. They come across these like car thieves that have one of those chop shops. But then they find out that she's whoever Steve Guttenberg's name is. I can't remember. I think Steve West, something like that. I don't know, his daughter. And so the one guy's like a big fan. He's like, "Oh, we'll help you then. Don't worry." So they go out, and he's got this souped up car that happens to have one of those biofreeze like things in the tank that shoots out and freezes a giant lavalantula at one point. But then I guess the one guy realizes he's somewhat of as he calls himself, a lavalantula expert. So he saw that her friend was bitten. He's like, I heard about this. He's like, apparently it injects a whole bunch of little spiders into her. And then in one of the better effects of the movie, which is kind of cool, I guess they all start coming out of her, and they kind of like basically implode out of her body and kill her friend off. So, but then in like a somewhat of a complete Jurassic Park ripoff, they're like trapped in like this weird kitchen, and the lava avalanche is coming. Of course, right before they're about to get killed, her new kind of love interest in this, because everyone else gets killed off in there. Steve Gutenberg comes to the rescue, and turns out, I guess his daughter happens to be studying weather map, like technology or something. So he's able to like locate all the thermal. Oh, because they need a thermal mapping to locate where the giant queen lavalantula is, I guess. And like in any of these movies, you kill that one, everyone else apparently dies. All the other lavalantulas die. Look. But of course Martin Kove comes into the picture, and he's kind of like a jovial Martin Kove in it, so it's kind of a off-putting. Actually, I don't want him off jovial. I want him angry and like mean. I think there is a Karate Kid joke in there somewhere. A couple of them, they say something like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "It's not like we're gonna show them no mercy," or something like that. Or I like to show them no mercy. There's one kind of course, one or two Karate Kid references in there. But but then it's funny, at one point, like in the movie, Steve Gutenberg just changes his voice altogether, and he's like got this gritty snarl in every one of his lines. He's like, "I'm gonna get the lavalantula," and literally at one point there's actually the line, "It's a giant." Wait a minute, Oh my god, what did I write? I gotta look this up. I can't even remember. It was like a lava. But it was like something like a gargantuavalantula or something. It was like, I don't know. It was like the word that was way too long to say, but they actually uttered in it. And I could not believe that it was uttered in there. But yeah, so apparently they finally find this queen giant lavalantula. And somehow Steve Gutenberg does some full out dive into the lavalantula. I kind of like almost like forgot how he did it. But anyway, and of course they think he's dead, but he comes out through the flames as a hero, setting up, I'm sure, Lavalantula 3, if it's not already there. I don't know what that one will be called. What was the Fast and the Furious? So it's going to be Lavalantula Tokyo Drift? I don't know, but Tarantula, yeah, there's got to be something like in there. But yeah, so this one, I mean, I can't say I hated it, because, you know, it was exactly what I expected. You know, not any more, not any less. It literally was like a Sharknado, but with lavalantulas. You know, it's typical sci-fi movies, and I'm fine with it. You know what? I mean, I couldn't expect anything more. You know, it's lavalantula.
No, yeah, I remember watching those sci-fi originals with Olivia all the time. Like, we knew exactly what we were getting. I mean, nobody was under any impression you were getting some great movie. You just kind of watched it for the fun of it.
And it's like, you know, I think the success of Sharknado, which nobody, I think, expected to have the cult following, the fact that they made 6 of those things is like astounding.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the first one was like, well, you know, and it became an event. It was like literally, it was like the tweet-alongs that would happen. You know, after the first one, the tweet-alongs started with the 2, and then it was like, remember, it was like an event every time a Sharknado movie would debut. They'd have like a full, like a Joe Bob night kind of thing, where like all people would get involved, and, you know, you'd all be like, just be all ready for like the thing. And, you know, I participated in a couple of them. I remember I like totally canceled plans one time for something to do, to tweet along with the lavalantular. I just said lavalantular with that Sharknado. So it's really like a whole like thing. Oh, and that's right. I almost forgot. There was a part where they get the who is it the slow clap, the Jeff Tucker slow clap when they say the title of the movie. Some guy says, "It's too lava, too lantula."
Oh God.
Yeah. So I will give them points for that, though. They somehow found a way to work that in, as weird as. Oh, and there's also a Cocoon reference, major Cocoon reference in there, where literally Tawny Welch plays herself and comes out and makes a comment to Steve Gutenberg about something about how he shouldn't know about something about aliens. And he goes, "Oh, aliens? That's ridiculous," or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, at least they.
Oh, here it was. That's a freaking gargantulantula. That was what it was.
Gargantulantula. That's great. I like that. I like that.
So that was my thing. So we got now the best part is this, and now I get to pick. I already have like I think 2 or 3 ready to go for you for tonight. I have to decide which one after the episode. I think it's like almost like a new tradition now. It's like a reward for doing a good podcast is after we get to pick the next movie for each other.
Yeah, it's fun. And we send each other the box art.
Yeah, but that's the way it has to be. It has to be.
Yeah, you have to send the box art.
I'm like totally down for like down in the future. We have like special events where we like could have like maybe like Cone or Ken pick one, or have someone send in one that we have to watch. Something like that. Like fool it around, play around with it. Or I was thinking of a fun way to do it to spice it up as like down the road. Not for a while, because I want the TUBI one is the whole point, but maybe do one later, like where we literally like almost like spin a wheel where we have to find the weirdest thing on either Prime, TUBI, it's like give a choice or something.
Oh yeah, we could do like a whole.
Yeah, this one could be like a thing for like. I mean, this is probably staying. I think this should stay. In fact,
yeah,
because this is like it's too good not to. But
yeah, at least for a while.
Yeah, at least for a while. But now speaking of really good movies. Now I think this one I think we have to, of course, give a major shout out to our good friend Emily Sweet, who like immediately messaged us after she saw this, was raving about this movie, and she's like, I'm obsessed with it, you gotta go see this. And I thought it was only in theaters, but Tim was crafty enough there to search, and it was actually there, like I mentioned. No, I might have mentioned it in the dismemberment. But either way, it was you could rent it. It was on Vudu Theater at Home rental, but only for $6.99, which was a really good price. So it's basically same cost as if we went to the theater, at a matinee or something. So.
Yeah. So I was really excited when I found out this was. You do see that occasionally, not very often, but you see it occasionally with some of these kind of more obscure films where they will release them for rental even while they're at the theater, which is pretty cool.
And of course, Cone tells us right after we rented it that it's on Hulu in like 3 days for free. Yeah, but
it's okay.
But yeah, anyway, we're talking, and it's probably because it's a foreign film, so it's probably figured they would not be able to. No one would rent this at home for $20 anyway, just because it's probably a little bit more on the obscure side. You'd have to be in the really horror know to get this one. Yeah. But and anyway, it's, if you haven't figured it out, it's Hatching from 2022, brand new. So this is one of the ones this is rarely do we get one do one this new, like right off the bat for civil gore. But
yeah, this is a Finnish film.
Yes.
So I'm gonna just destroy these names.
Oh, yeah, you're not. No idea. I don't think you're gonna come close on these. And remember, now, Marky, this movie isn't. We will say this isn't subtitles. So so that's the thing. So a lot of these, the character names at least we should have right, because they said those the way they said. So you should be able to get those.
But when I see like when you see like some of these like Nordic type countries where they're speaking these languages. Even when I know what they're saying, sometimes their pronunciation doesn't sound anything like what I know they're saying. Like it's just it's the accent is so interesting and strong. But so I'll give it my best shot. Yeah, Siri Solalina as Tinya.
And actually, you said Tinya right, because that's how they say it in the movie. That you're dead on. Tinya. Yeah, they kept saying Tinya. So
Sophia, there's a lot of J's and I's in here. Sophia Haigila as the mother. There's no tell. I mean, there's literally like just tons of I's and J's in here.
Yeah, there really is. Like there's like so many dots on top of it. The dotted, the I's and the J's. It's like literally looks like it's like a. Almost looks like a crown.
Yeah. So Sophia Haigila as mother, and they never give her name, just mother. Yanni Volanen as the father. Reino Norden as Tero, Oiva Olida as Matthias, and Ida Matanen as Rita. So I'm sorry I butchered those names. I absolutely love these countries. Like, yeah, I want to visit over there so bad.
Me too.
I love everything about
Finland.
I love Finland, Norway, Sweden. I've always wanted to go there. So there's no disrespect at all in mispronouncing these names, because I absolutely love the whole culture over there.
Maybe that'll be our first international civil gore meetup. In Finland.
So the synopsis here is: a young gymnast who tries desperately to please her demanding mother discovers a strange egg. She hides it and keeps it warm, but when it hatches, what emerges shocks them all. And I would say, if you don't want to know anything about this movie, we'll try to avoid explicit spoilers, but I don't think you could talk about it completely without avoiding certain things that you may not want to know.
I will say, too, as for our good friend Ketrin from Kim and Ket, animal cruelty warning in this.
Yes.
It's a plot point. Both times, but there's one specifically one as that like really like actually disturbed me, but it made sense in the plot. It was presented very graphically and like a little disturbing, and you know which one I'm talking about for that.
And obviously it's not real animal cruelty.
Yes, it's not a real animal cruelty. Yes, it's animal cruelty plot point wise.
Yeah. So this is a really, really fascinating movie. So Tinya is this gymnastics, this girl that enjoys gymnastics, and she is living with her mother, father, and brother. I will say the brother casting to be the son of this dad was spot
they were like
on.
Twins.
I actually looked them up to make sure they weren't related.
Yeah,
that's how close they were.
Because they wore the same clothes almost too.
Yeah, I mean, they did the same haircut and everything. They obviously tried to make it that way, but it was pretty interesting. But she lives with this. So it's kind of the whole movie is kind of from her point of view. She carries this movie. I mean, totally carries this movie. She's only like she can't be more than like 12 or 13. I mean,
seriously, this girl has a future in acting because she is phenomenal in this.
Yeah, she is so good. But she lives with her family, and her mom is one of these social media type, oh, my family's perfect, and let me video. She has this video blog that she does about her perfect family, and everything in the house has to be perfect, and everybody has to dress perfectly kind of thing, and it's really nauseating. You learn over the course of the movie this mom is just a garbage person.
Yeah, and yet she keeps this, I'll tell you, props to the actress, because she has got this just almost permanent smile.
Yes,
throughout that's like
creepy.
Almost where it gets it gets borderline creepy, and I want to stop smiling, you're hurting my cheeks. You know, it's like I'm like I can't, but it's so effective. It's cast wise and performance wise, there's not one miss in this movie at all.
You know what it reminded me of, Brian, a little bit is the not to this extreme by any stretch of the imagination, because it's not comedic or anything, but it reminded me of the aunt in Sleepaway Camp. It was that kind of
you're right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, it just had that tone of just trying to be all perfect all the time, and their house is got these god awful, everything is floral wallpaper everywhere.
Yeah.
Gold gilded mirrors and vases with flower. It just has this weird almost museum like quality, but it kind of reminded me of what you would your grandma's house used to be decorated as, but maybe slightly more modern way, but it still has that just feel of why would you decorate your house this way? I think I'm sure it's an intentional choice to make this whole thing just come off a little creepier.
Oh yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, hopefully this doesn't give away too much of the movie at some point. I mean, it's a part of the plot, but not the everything. But if you think about it, one of the themes of this movie, I think, is literally the total illusion of living. And it's this house does not look like a house that, like Tim said, it's a museum. It doesn't look like a house that should be lived in, that should be just admired constantly. So it basically is a major theme to the whole movie, is this, I mean, yes, there's the statement about, what you see on the internet or a blog is not even, it's not really what's happening, but it's a really good representation of how this whole family, none of them are truly living any kind of reality at some level. And it's I think they think they are. And it's just neither one, but I don't think anyone really knows what any of the characters really are experiencing. And it's funny, I think the one character that kind of is the only one that really gets everything that's going on is the little creepy brother.
Yeah, I think so. He's the only one that actually acts normal in this whole movie.
But he's creepy as hell. And that's how brilliant this movie is that the creepiest character, the brother who's so creepy and kind of annoying in it, is the only real character.
Yeah.
Okay, it's hard to explain. The gymnast, the main character, kind of is, but based on which a plot point, which I don't really want to give away, kind of changes that dynamic. So it's hard to really describe without giving too much away there. Just trust us on that one.
I think what I'll give away what I can, which you could probably see from the trailers and stuff. And that is, so Tinya finds there's a incident where a bird gets into the house. Tinya ends up finding this egg, which she takes back to her room to kind of like nurture and grow, I guess, or hatch at some point. And it, as you might expect for this being a horror movie, hatches something monstrous. And I won't give away what it actually hatches because it's a changing process over the course of the film as to what this thing is and does. Which is really interesting. Like when I first saw what hatched, you think the movie's going in one direction, and then it completely goes in a different direction. So I think that's one thing I definitely wouldn't want to give away, because I thought I had this movie kind of figured out within the first, I would say like 20 minutes or so, but it ends up really going to places I had not thought about. And it's one of those movies that, quite frankly, I want to go read up on. It's one of those movies I want to go read reviews. I want to go read discussion, because I'm sure there's a lot of symbolism and meaning here that I'm not quite absorbing yet.
I mean, there's some obvious ones, but you're right. There's probably some other like more subtle ones that we're probably not catching. And, it could be part of it too, because, we are being American and not being able to speak or understand fluent Finnish. We're reading subtitles at the same time. So, it does slightly take you out of, of a little bit, probably missing a couple of little things. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it. Like, I would not want to see this film where it's like overdubbed, because I think it would completely lose, I think 99% of its impact.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Also, did you get a little bit, I mean, obviously to a much lesser scale, but like when she was starting to, when she was kind of with the egg and trying nurturing it, a little bit of like The Seed with Chelsea Edge's character, how it was this like...
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you have this weird entity or something that you're kind of like to us would be monstrous that we would run away from. But yet this character is like nurturing it and being kind to it. And it's kind of a weird juxtaposition.
Because it coos. Because even though the subtitle says cooing.
Yes. But yeah, it's very strange. And what you really come to realize is that there's an emotional attachment between Tinya and this hatchling. I guess we will say.
Yeah, say it like that.
There's an emotional attachment there that runs extremely deep, and it's tied to what's the real events that are going on in her life. In a lot of real ways, this is a movie about kind of coming of age type movie.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of themes going through.
Yeah,
this movie.
like realizing that your parents aren't perfect is a big thing in this. I mean, you're really seeing Tinya realize that the illusional family that her mom portrays to the world is not the real thing, and she's discovering this in real time, and that's having an impact.
Yeah, and also she's also realizing that, maybe like what she thought she wanted is not what she wanted. It was what people wanted for her. And as a child, sometimes it's you don't have the mental maturity yet to know the difference. You just think, oh, wow, I'm pleasing my mom and dad for doing so well at something. I must want this so badly. But, not realizing, well, maybe, like basically she's like all the joy she should have gets, she's realizing is not there. There's no joy there. It's like basically even when she like little hints of joy, it seems to get taken away from her. And and that's another theme that goes through, and that's very common. There's also that's very common. How many times do you see like this, you hear about these overbearing athletic parents that like want like their child to succeed because in a place where they haven't. And that's another theme, because I guess you find out later, and not as a little minor spoiler, that the mother was, I guess, an Olympic skater or some kind of professional skater, but like it looks to see like she must have had an injury that cut her career short because she's got a scar on her leg. So she obviously doesn't want her. She wants her daughter now to kind of basically take over her legacy and be as successful as she can, but to the point where she doesn't even realize she's like, again, it's that whole theme of how perfect this, perfect that, portraying it, not even realizing that literally nobody is happy around her. Even the people she thinks might be happy is not happy. Nobody's happy in this even herself, who the mother who thinks she's happy is not happy. So it's a lot. There's a lot of heavy themes that are so like perfectly curated into this movie.
It's really hard to talk about because there are so many themes I want to touch on.
Right, and give examples, but you can't because then it spoils.
But you can't because it spoils it, and I just don't want to spoil any of this movie for those who haven't seen it because I think it's one of those that you. If we told you, it just loses a lot of punch and a lot of emotional impact because this movie has a lot of heart to it. I will actually say, when after I watched the first like third of the movie, I was like, I really am enjoying this movie, but I don't know if I would want to watch it again, only because it's so dark.
Yeah, and
I was thinking, is this a movie? Is this one of those movies that I love, but I just can't watch again? But after I finished it.
I see what you
finished it. There you go. But kind of like Emily being obsessed with this movie, it kind of gets in your head, and I'm I actually do want to watch it again. I do too. Like I feel compelled to watch it again.
Yeah, this is one is definitely automatic purchase when it comes out on Blu-ray for me. And and the one thing is with all these things we're saying, you're almost like, well. Is this even of a horror film? That's the thing. It doesn't take away from all the horror elements, which are still super prevalent, super effective, and incredibly well done because it's all practical effects. And, there's not, like, it doesn't miss a beat anywhere. It, like, doesn't miss at any level from the, gore elements, from horrific elements. There's even a couple of jump scares in there that are jump scares that you've seen before but are done better. In this.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, like, again, it's so funny how these things just kind of fall into. We were just literally explaining this the last week on how you can do the same thing over and over again, but if you do it, just do it. Even if you're going to use it, certain things that are like you've seen before, you either can do it alter it in a unique way or just do it better than anyone else. And this one went for the better than anyone else because there's a couple of things in there that are not new or original, but it made it its own in a way, and either where its placement in the film or it's the thematic elements that tied in with it made it special. But I just I felt like this movie was there was not one thing I can't even think of a criticism for it. I really can't. No,
yeah, I honestly can't think of any either. And one thing that really impressed me was I love when. I hesitate to use the word normal because you do find that nobody in this movie is normal, quote unquote normal. But when you put quote normal people in a extremely bizarre, almost supernatural situation and how they would react, and I love that part about this movie because there's never any question about what's happening. Like it's just a matter of fact, and it's presented without explanation.
Yeah,
like there's no lore about what this hatchling is, or why it hatched, or how she found it, or where it came from. It dispenses with all of that. It's just here's what happened. This is what happened afterwards.
Yeah, and you know what I think is fantastic, without obviously giving a detail why, the ending of it almost still leaves you thinking because it kind of ends somewhat abruptly because the last sequence looks like it's going to start something else.
Yes.
And it kind of ends. And I'm like, and I remember when it was done, I was like, whoa. I'm like, immediately as I was like, oh my God, same thing with you. It's like, wow, I kind of want to watch it again. Really want to get more, find out all I can about this movie. And, I was like, wow, Emily was dead on. Like, I see why she loved this movie, It's like you said, same thing with the first one. I was watching it, I was like, that's really good. I'm like, I said, I could see why she liked it, but what was it that made it so impactful? But by the time this movie ends, I can't imagine someone not kind of really being so pulled into it that you're like, wow, I want to know more about this,
And I will say, you'll see this movie described as body horror, and there is a lot of body horror in this. So don't go in thinking it's more like psychological thriller and stuff, which it is at some level, but it's very much like body horror movie. So it's got some really, I don't want to say extreme or anything, but it's got some really like creepy, disturbing sequences.
Yeah. And you want to hear something even more impressive? This is a director's first feature.
Which is crazy. I mean, this is
because when you hit something like this with your first feature and so good like this, I mean, I'm like, what's coming next? You know, because if you go by like all the how many times have we interviewed people? I mean, just most recently, the Addams Family. They say they learned something from each film. Like, what? Imagine what this director now learns from this film, and then like. Oh my God, I mean, because she, Hannah Bergholm is the director. What could she take from this and improve now? I'm like, oh my God, like the next thing is gonna it's gonna be I really hope the Blu-ray or for this like has a lot of like a commentary on it. I would love to hear it. Now. Hopefully the commentary is translated as well, because I don't know if she'll speak in English, but but she does apparently like her stuff has been like, I'm looking at IMDb, and her short films have been internationally awarded. So I mean, she definitely was, I guess whoever the producer of this probably saw something they really trusted in her. But yeah, I mean she's on a path. Like I like anytime if I see her name attaches directing something, it's an automatic watch going on.
Yeah. This one was great. Again, we can't speak too much more about it. I would just say go watch it. If you don't want to pay the $7, I think it's available on Hulu by the time you're hearing this. So it's definitely worth a watch. So I'll leave it at that, because I'm afraid I'm just going to spoil it if I keep going. But Brian, you did have a good beer pairing for this movie.
I did. It is, and the beer pairing is Hatch by Slake Brewing Company. It's out of Prince Edward County in Ontario, Canada. 5.2%. It says at 5.2%, Hatch is a pale ale that packs in a lot of the hop flavor and aroma you would expect from an IPA without all the alcohol. It is a very soft and fruity aroma that leads to a fresh citrusy taste and finishes dry with a moderate bitterness. So, and by the way, while I was also looking through some facts on IMDb here, there is a little short clip for about 3 minutes where Hannah Bergholm, the director, she actually goes into why films that inspired this movie. So that would be interesting watch. Yeah. I think I'm gonna watch that after we're done here. But yeah, I mean, just one more summary on this. I just will say, like, this is a high recommend. And between this and Hellbender, this so far I've found two films that I like, or I'm absolutely like head over heels for, like. Oh,
2022 is starting out pretty good. Yeah, even though we're almost halfway through it, but
I know, but we got two like big ones. Like I'd be like if nothing else comes out, I'd be satisfied. That's how good these two are.
All right. Well, we do have a new listener question from our good friend Cody, and this is a good one. What are some of your favorite non-horror TV shows?
Do you want me to start? Do you start?
Either way, I've definitely got a quick answer for this one.
Yeah, I've got a couple of good. I mean, basically, I am a major fan of the sitcom when it comes to TV shows, and so of course, I mean, instantly the first one that comes out is first couple that come out: Seinfeld, Big Bang Theory. Right now are two of my favorites. Loved Friends, also The Office, but I think, I mean, really, if I got to pick. Probably two of the top sitcoms for me of the modern day era. I mean, I'm not going to go back to the 70s. I love Three's Company, all those and stuff. But yeah, I think like Big Bang Theory and Seinfeld too, I have to put up at the top of my list just because of the impact. And I guess as a sort of a cousin to Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm as well.
Yeah, well, it might surprise you guys to know, or maybe it doesn't surprise you. I watch a lot of TV. I don't have cable. I got rid of cable.
So it's really challenging. He watches a lot of blank TV.
I was like the girl in Poltergeist. I just stare at static. No.
They're here.
No, I gave up cable years ago, but I do I've got all the streaming services. I've got Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus, Peacock, what else? I'm probably missing Disney. I mean, I've got everything.
Do you have Paramount Plus? Did you say that?
Yes. Yeah. So I watch all kinds of stuff, and I really like some of the more cheesy stuff I watch. Like I watch a lot of the reality stuff, not like the drama reality, but like Survivor. I watch Lego Masters and Domino Masters. I watch Masked Singer, American Idol, like any of those.
I know
kind
your
of shows.
favorite show of all time too. So
what's that?
Little House on the Prairie.
Oh yeah, of course, Little House on the Prairie. No, but just talking about like current stuff. I'm usually watching all kind like Netflix. Any kind of true crime documentary I watch. Any kind of cult documentary I watch, as Cone well knows, because he's always recommended me cult documentaries.
Which then in turn you suggested Julie. So
yeah, so I watch all that stuff. So I am constantly, when I'm not watching horror movies for the podcast, I'm usually watching non-horror television. Honestly, I watch a lot of it. There was a time when I've even got an app on my phone where I keep track of every episode, and I even go back. Like I watch, like right now I'm going through. I'll go back and watch old shows. Like I'm watching Star Trek Next Generation. I'm watching X-Files. I'm watching some other stuff like that. You know, stuff that maybe I never saw every single episode. I'll go back through and watch the whole series runs of those. I love all the Marvel shows, like on Disney. I'm watching Moon Knight.
I gotta start that. I've been waiting for when Julie and I have time to both watch it though.
Peacemaker on HBO Max. So I mean,
have you been watching Winning Time at all on HBO? That's a good one.
No, I haven't watched that yet.
That's really good. You don't even have to be a basketball fan. I mean, because it has John C. Reilly, and that beats everything.
Yeah, I wanted to see. I heard that was good. Yeah, I wanted to see that one. Ted Lasso. My gosh,
I guess Saturday Night Live we should both talk about too, because that's been like our whole life essentially.
Yeah, I know the question is like, what are your favorites? And that's just more of kind of a broad look at my viewing habits. You know, favorites of all time, definitely Seinfeld's way up there. Little House on the Prairie is way up there. Which I'll have to say, I kind of stole my love of Little House on the Prairie from my brother. He's the true original, like he's the original true Little House on the Prairie fan. I liked it growing up, but he's the one that like kind of rekindled it for me. Like he's the one that was like the diehard fan, and then he kind of pulled me back into it. So I don't claim any credit for being like the number one Little House on the Prairie fan. That was all Kevin. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Like, I watch a lot of TV shows. I'd be hard pressed to say this is my favorite TV show of all time. I love all pop culture. I love all television. I like a broad spectrum of everything, whether it's music, movies, television, books, whatever. I read everything. I watch everything. I listen to everything. So yeah, that's kind of a broad cop out answer, but it's just the way I it's not ADD by any means, because if I like something, I can focus on it. You know, I could really deep dive into it, but I'm one of those jack of all trades people. I don't like narrow focusing on one genre or one thing. I like to experience and sample everything. I'm the sampler plate guy. I want a little bit of everything.
Tim's a buffet of TV.
I'm buff. I like the TV.
Well,
buffet.
that makes sense then why you wouldn't have cable and you just have all the streaming services instead, because then you have your pick.
Yeah, that really is. I mean, it's because I've never felt really the need to sit down in front of even when I had cable, I would record everything. I never watched anything live, so kind of what was the point? I DVR'd everything. So, but yeah, I am somewhat obsessive about watching TV. Like it's almost like a part-time job type thing for me. Like I make spreadsheets, and I'm not kidding. I make spreadsheets about which episodes I need to watch, so it's pretty crazy. So, at the risk of sounding completely insane, I'll end it at that.
No, I think that's it's a tough question. You know, it's like, you know, when you have such a vast like array of content for your, you know, that you watch, how are you gonna to pick a favorite with just like one favorite? It's hard.
Well, especially these days. I mean, it's a new golden age of TV. I mean, it really is. I mean, the amount of high quality shows coming out these days is insane.
Yeah,
you can't watch it all.
Yeah, and especially with the little mini series that come out where they're like, you could literally sit there and binge it in a day, and you got a whole season under your belt.
Yeah, absolutely.
That game changes everything because you're used to a TV series is 22 to 24 episodes is a season, and now they're counting a season of a show on like a streaming service of like 10 episodes, like like around half. So, it's you get more content in. You can watch twice as many TV shows essentially.
I even do that, which is bad. I watch like a lot of the stuff that doesn't really matter, like American Idol or Domino Masters. I'll watch in double speed, or even sometimes triple speed because I have the video speed thing I've talked about before on the show. So I will speed through like all the like non-performance parts, like American Idol. I like speed through everything, and then when they sing, I'll put it back to normal speed, listen to them sing, and then I'll zip it back to like, because you can get the whole concept of the show. You don't have to hear it in normal time to get it. I mean, especially if you start training your ear for it.
Yeah, and I do things like that too. Like I'll watch it while I'm like, like sometimes if I'm doing something else, just kind of keep it on the background and kind of glance at it. But I count it as watching it because I get the gist of it.
I only do, and then I pick and choose. I only do that with shows that kind of quote unquote don't matter. So if I'm watching Moon Knight, I'm not going to watch that in double speed because I want to experience that as it was intended. But American Idol, Survivor, I'll just throw it on double, triple speed and just zip through it. So, and then I'll also sometimes do that with old shows like X-Files and stuff because I know I've probably seen them at some point. So I'll just kind of zip through them. But yeah, it's fun. I love, me and Brian both subscribe to Entertainment Weekly forever. I mean, so we both just love pop culture and that kind of thing. So, Brian understands. He knows where I'm coming from.
I completely understand.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you back here next week. Not sure what the movie's going to be yet, but we will come up with something good, hopefully, and another TUBI TRAP to be continued.
I'm like actually kind of like I have two in mind right now. I don't know if I want to go totally with I think I have it just because of I just want to hear you say the title actually.
And then Emma Cat just came into my door to get me to bed. She around 11 o'clock, if I'm not in bed yet, she comes in looking for me and basically demands I go lay down because she cuddles with me every night. So she's rubbing my leg saying it's time for bedtime, Daddy. So. Yeah,
and Obi's probably already taken my spot on the bed, so I'm probably gonna have to curl up in an awkward position until he moves. He usually does move. He just usually he takes my spot, but I think he does it because I'm not there, so he wants to be in the spot where I am. Because same thing when Julie was out of town for a couple of days, he slept in her spot. So.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
See ya.